annexation of Hawaii, and discuss James Diaz, the early period of U.S. control. That means the early period of U.S. control in Puerto Rico.
Oh, Professor?
Yes.
Just before we get started, do you think either after class or now I could give you an idea for the research paper?
Yes. At the end.
At the end?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's talk about the paper in terms of, did you get it? Did you get the email I sent you?
I got it.
I got it too.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Professor.
Just read the procedures for the paper, and and we are going to talk about if you have a topic, let me know tonight. But if you don't have a topic, if you have to handle in the paper between the 17th, the last day of class, and the day of the exam, or the last exam. Well, when we finish, then we're going to go to certain questions that you could have here. Let's take 10-15 minutes for that. Okay. Are there any questions about that? No. Okay.
Professor, I have another question regarding the test number 2. You haven't graded it yet, right?
Wait, say that again?
Test number 2, you haven't graded it.
The test is graded.
Number 2?
Yes.
Because all I see is it says submit on my Blackboard.
Did you submit it?
Yes.
It should be there. It should be there because I don't have any well, let me see. I'm going to go over it, and I'm going to send it tonight, an email. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
Grade didn't pop up either, like George.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, same.
Okay. You have anybody else have a question?
Yeah, Professor, I had a question about the questionnaires. It's all due at the end, right?
At the end, if you want to do it before, send me an email, and if you can do it, I don't see any use for that. But if you want to do it, that I will open up the link for you to do it whenever you want to do it. Okay. You send me an email when you want to do it, and I do it with the exams. The same process. Is there any more questions?
Yeah, I just have 2 questions actually. One, when is the last day of lecture for this class?
The 17th.
Okay.
We're going to it's not lecturing, it's we're going to review for the exam.
Okay.
Okay.
And my other question is just to clarify that, like, we can submit our final papers between the 17th and the 24th.
Yes.
Okay, and anything later than the 24th would be considered late, right?
Yes, well, it's going to be late. That doesn't mean that if you have an argument to present, I will take you points from your grades. I'm not going to do that. If you come and you say, Professor, this happened, and you have a legitimate reason why you didn't bring it, believe me, I in a disposition always that you do the best, and I'm going to say, yeah, okay, but bring me in 2 more days or 3 more days. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Let me say something. You're going to do the talking today. I'm going to do very little talk because the doctors told me not to talk too much. I don't know if you have noticed. I have been very not disorganized, but I have, according to the doctors, I have a problem that started, I don't know, 8, 9 months ago, or 10 months ago. And that is that it's called a sleeping disorder. A sleeping disorder, and it has an impact in your speech, how you speak, and then how you, hold on a second, let me this, and how you speak, and your speech, the articulation, how you articulate your thoughts. And it was very bad then. Now it's going, even going to need medicines. I don't know, like to drink, to use medicine very much. But it's going there. And one of the things that it does is that you have too many ideas and doesn't let you choose, right, the ideas that you have. And the reason why I got that, I believe the doctor believes, I believe this is the something without doubt, is because I don't know, I don't remember before that they started, about 9, 10 days ago. I don't remember the last day that I went to bed at least before 3, 4 a.m., hours a.m., and then to deal the next day, wake up at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and to do what I have to do, to work, to prepare my classes. And that is the reason why I did that for most of my, since I was 15, 16 years old. It's because that is the time that the night that you can use to read and to write. That's the most for someone like me who had the first my parents live in my parents' house when I was 15, 16, and that started. That started. So what I want to tell you is that you have to do the talking here, because I'm not going to talk. That's not going to. I'm not going to talk much, but that is something that is going to end soon, I guess. That according to the doctors. Okay. Let's we are going to discuss is the annexation, to finish the annexation of Hawaii. If I'm not mistaken, we did till 8, right? Is that correct?
No, we only did 1 through 6.
1 through 6. Okay.
So we left off on 7.
Okay, good. So let's hold on. Let's so 7. Who wants to do number 7?
I could do it, Professor.
Sabrina, go ahead.
Number 7 says, what was the purpose of the 2-cent subsidy to sugar producers in the U.S. and how did it affect the Hawaiian producers? I said it was meant to protect sugar producers from foreign competition, and that in Hawaii, this caused a severe economic depression since the duty-free status from the Reciprocity Treaty no longer gave the Hawaiian Sugar Planters Association an advantage in exports to the U.S.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, can I try? This is George.
George, go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote less than 50,000 natives Hawaiians were alive when the sugar boom started. Because most of them refused to do the plantation work, the Big Five began to fill their labor needs by hiring Chinese immigrants. Thank you, Rosa.
Listen, noise there.
And your mic is on. Benjamin, your mic is on.
Okay, let's move on. Who else? Anybody else? Let me see. Amy, What would you say? Emmy, Yeoman, Bianca, Oliver, Benjamin, Burgos.
I wrote that the purpose of the 2 cents subsidy to sugar producers in the United States was that it had aimed at protecting American capitalist enterprises from foreign competition. And it was enforced by I believe, a Congress member named William McKinley, and he became famous for getting approval of the highest import taxes in the nation's history. And it benefited the United States. However, when it came to Hawaiian economics, it had caused a severe economic depression.
Okay. Who else? Emily, Liz, what do you think?
I just saw that the sugarcane was introduced to Hawaii for the inhabitants, and that it was like designed to protect the incomes of sugar industry growers and sugarcane.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, may I take a crack at it?
Yes, go ahead.
The purpose was to protect American sugar producers by stimulating agribusiness. For Hawaiian producers, it caused a steep economic depression.
Yes. Yes. Who else? Anybody else? Yes. The purpose of that 2 cents was to protect the Americans producers, American production of sugar cane to protect those American producers of the competition from the Hawaiians, and the Hawaiians here happen to be most Americans, right? And that was one of the one of the reasons why these Americans in Hawaii push towards the assimilation or the takeover of the United States of Hawaii. So that the movement around this subsidy, it was a subsidy to the 2 cents subsidy, have to do with that, with how the United States, how soon the United States were going to take over Hawaii. Is there anybody else? Okay, let's move on. Who want to do number 8?
May I take a crack at it, Professor?
Yes, go ahead.
What was the reciprocity treaty? The reciprocity treaty prohibited the Hawaiians from letting any nation that wasn't the United States use their land as a military base in exchange for eliminating import taxes on sugar sold to America.
Yes. Who else?
Professor, can I try?
George, go ahead. Hello.
Professor.
Go.
It was a free trade agreement between the United States and the Hawaiian Kingdom that guarantee a duty-free market for Hawaiian sugar in exchange for special economic privileges for the United States that were denied to other countries. The treaty helped establish the groundwork for the Hawaiian Islands, eventually annexation. Thank you.
Who else?
I can go. So I said that it was a free trade agreement between the United States and Hawaii that guaranteed a like duty-free market for Hawaiian sugar in exchange for like economic privileges.
Okay. Who else?
I can go, Professor.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. So, yeah, I said the Reciprocity Treaty was a special economic treaty that gave special privileges to the U.S. that was denied to other countries, and it eventually led to annexation of Hawaii.
Yes. Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but did the Hawaiians benefit from this treaty, or was it all just for the benefit of the United States?
That's a good question. That's a very good question because those Hawaiians that they're talking about are Americans.
Oh, okay.
Right? They are Americans, and this is a very what they are doing is since they are Hawaiian in quotation mark.
Yeah.
They was going to compete with American production that was have support to some extent by the government, by the subsidies, the 2 cents. And then they cannot compete with that, and that's why they accelerated accelerated the taking over of Hawaii by the United States, and this they started to do this. How can I say this deal, right? There is a reciprocity treaty. This deal where the United States allow the in exchange for giving them in Hawaii the giving them the same treaty as Americans produce in Puerto Rico, in Cuba, and the United States, etc., etc. So they wanted to get that in exchange for military bases, and eventually, of course, the taking over of the island, because that was not it was not something that easy. Most of the people who control the agricultural sector that was the only at that time were Americans, but they started to come to the United States and to send other Americans to come to talk to the United States, and at the end became even tried to went to the United States and request the annexation of Hawaii. I think we're going to discuss that in the next couple of. But they didn't succeed because the American president, at the time said, no, we are not going to do that. That's a act of piracy what you have done. These people reserve is their land, and then they came back and went to Hawaii and declared the Republic of Hawaii until other politicians were in power in the United States. Okay, is there anybody else who want to say? Okay. I said I was not going to talk much. One thing that comes to my mind when I think when I talk about this issue of Hawaii and the United States is why, and if one of you have an idea, let me know why they made Hawaii, why the United States made Hawaii the 50th state, right? And why they don't do it with Puerto Rico. Why they don't do it for Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico, of course, they are American citizens. It's an American citizen that cannot vote for the president that sent them to wars. They don't have it's a second or third kind of nationality, right? The political rights. They don't have, and they are not, even though they at some point some majority of Puerto Rican have requested that. One answer to that is that at the time of the take over Hawaii was predominantly full of Americans, citizens, Americans who went there and they became Hawaiians, but they have their culture, everything. They never assume the culture and the philosophy, the religions. Of course, they change the religions. When I say them, I mean American. So they were there in Puerto Rico. There are too many Puerto Ricans. Too many Puerto Ricans, and I don't know. That's a reason why that I can think. For that to happen, for taking over, making a state of the Union, Hawaii and not Puerto Rico. Okay. Let's move on. Someone want to say something about that? Okay, let's move on. The number 9, right? Number 9. Who wants to do number 9?
I can go, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Queen Liliuokalani,
Yes.
Yes, she was acclaimed musician, poetess, and humanist, and she was strongly supported by the Hawaiians for her valiant campaign to defend Hawaiian independence.
Yes.
I'm Amy, just you know.
Amy. Okay. Yes, I can see that. Who else?
I can go, Professor.
Dora, go ahead.
I said Queen Liliuokalani was an acclaimed musician, poetess, and humanist. The native Hawaiians strongly supported her valiant campaign to defend Hawaiian independence. And when the American troops arrived, she surrendered to avoid violence.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote, she was the sovereign and only queen regnant of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The former queen wrote letters to the American politicians and organized petitions. In September 1897, more than half of Hawaiians signed petitions against the annexation of the Hawaii to the United States. Thank you.
Okay, good. Who else?
Professor,
Hey, go ahead.
Queen the Queen was a poet, musician, and leader of Hawaii who confronted the U.S. annexation attempt by writing a petition, and when that didn't work, surrendering for peace and abdicating her throne.
Okay, good. Who else? Well, there's nothing to say more. Okay, number 10. Who wants to do number 10?
I'll do
Professor
Sabrina, go ahead.
Okay. I said that,
Can you read it?
yeah. It says that, how did Hawaiians resist the territorial status of their country? They formed a home rule party called Look to the Skin, I think it was called, which allowed some Native Hawaiians to win local elections. And in the 1920s, Native Hawaiians organized a back to the land movement that encouraged people to recover their traditions in Apua, sorry, I can't pronounce it correctly, lifestyle. And the goals were to gain access to lands that the Republic took as government property in its brief tenure before annexation.
Good. That's good. Who else?
Professor, may I go?
Yes, go ahead.
Many Hawaiians resisted their country's territorial status by trying to recover their old tradition and ahapua lifestyle. through various movements, as well as trying to gain access to parts of their land that America took as government property.
Okay. Who else?
Professor, can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote Hawaiians protested commercial development. They also began to organizing to reclaim a land base, land taking from the Hawaiian government at the overthrow. Nearly 2 million acres of lands awarded in compensation for military or other takings became the focus of intense organizing. Thank you.
Who else? Anybody else? Okay. Who wants to do number 11?
I can go, Professor.
Go ahead.
How did the internal migration of Hawaiians benefit the U.S.? Internal migration facilitated the flow of cheap labor as needed in the U.S. and other territories.
Okay. Who else? Who else? Anybody else? Let's see. Benjamin Burgos. What do you write?
I had written basically something similar to what Benjamin had written. So I wrote that internal migration of Hawaii had benefited the United States because they were able to regulate cheap labor for their for the work that needed to be done.
Yes. Who else? Hello,
I can go, Professor.
Dora. Go ahead.
I said internal migration facilitated the recruitment of cheap labor needed in the U.S. and other territories.
Okay, that's good. Who else? Anybody? Let me say something about the answers. When the first person answered, the first student answered the question, and the answer is a good answer. I continue, and I think I talked about that back a couple of months. I continue with the same question because that's the way that you are going to be greater for participation. And if I leave, if there are 10 questions, let's say, and I ask the 10 questions, and 10 person, usually this is the same, give the rights each of one, and then another question, and one answer another question. Then I will not be able to. It's going to be a mess when I'm going to calculating the participation. So I have to in order to everybody to participate and have a good grade at the end, they have to ask the question, the same question to I don't know, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if that's understood. So and I said this because I stood and they say, well, everybody say, so a few people have said the same thing. Why am I going to do that? You know, it is important. It is. Okay, who else? Let's move to the next question. The next question is the last question, I think. Who wants to do number 12?
May I do it, Professor?
Okay, go ahead.
What was the impact of statehood on Native Americans? The Hawaiian Islands became one of the most expensive places to live in America, and Native Hawaiians became destitute.
Okay, what is that in I can see like Adobe strongly recommend immediately removing Flash player from your system by clicking. Is that for you or for me?
Not for me.
That's for you?
It's not for me. I don't
know where that came from. Let me see if I can get out of that because I don't see your names. Hold on. No, I think that's someone has I guess the computer and okay, let's move on. The anybody else with numbers 12? No. Okay, let's move on to James Diaz, the early period of U.S. control. This reading is about, of course, what happened with the United States, in what context the United States took over Puerto Rico. And the and how they intervened in Cuba in the context of the same in the same historical event, right? Okay, who wants to do number 1?
Can I do it, Professor?
Yes.
This is George.
Okay, George, go ahead.
Okay, for number 1, I wrote the question is, prior to the Spanish-American War, what signs were there of a possible U.S. intervention in Cuba? And my answer was, the United States had a great interest in Cuba since Cuba is located in an important location in the Caribbean, as well as a strategic place to South America. Also, Cuba was one of the main sugar exporters to the U.S. Therefore, there were important businesses and economical interests to lead to a U.S. war intervention in the Spanish-American War. Thank you, Professor.
Yes. Who else?
Professor, may I go?
Yes, go ahead.
American policymakers, is this for number 1?
That's number 1, yes.
American policymakers made no attempt to hide their opposition to Cuban independence for the sake of American economic interests.
Good. Good. Who else? Hello? Benjamin. What did you say? Benjamin Burgos. Benjamin. Anthony. Hello. Oh, Benjamin, you're here. I cannot see your your name. Go ahead. You want to answer the question? Number one.
Sorry, my mic is like messing up right now. I just need a second before I can answer.
Okay. Okay, who else? Bobby, Angie, what do you think? Emily, Liz, what you would say? Hello? George Galvez.
Yes, Professor. Number one, I already answered it. You want me to do it again?
Okay, all right. So let's move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Do it again. Okay, number one. Prior to the Spanish-American War, what were the signs were there for a possible U.S. intervention in Cuba? My answer was the United States had a great interest in Cuba since Cuba is located in an important location in the Caribbean, as well as strategic place to South America. Also, Cuba was one of the main sugar exporters to the U.S. Therefore, there were important businesses and economical interests that led to a U.S. war intervention in the Spanish-American War. Thank you.
Okay. Good. That's good. Okay. Anybody else?
I could go now. I was able to fix my mic.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I had just wrote something very similar to George and Benjamin, and I had kept it pretty short. I said that the United States had a great interest in Cuba's location, its location at strategic placement that allowed for the United States' economic benefit. So they were kind of just eyeing Cuba for their own personal interests.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. The next question. The next question, number 2. When and why the United States invaded Puerto Rico? Who wants to?
I could do it.
Can I do it, Professor?
Uh,
You go, Sabrina. Sabrina.
Oh, okay. Thank you, George. I said that for the when, I said that the U.S. invaded Puerto Rico on July 25th, 1898. And the reasons for that is that they wanted to obtain the island from Spain in order to expand the United States empire through imperialism, and that the U.S. was interested in the island due to its importance for the protection of the proposed canal across Central America.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else?
Professor, may I go?
Yes, go ahead.
An American naval cruiser sank in the Havana harbor, leading many warmongering Americans to suspect foul play as an excuse for declaring war on Spain for control of Puerto Rico and Cuba. America wanted Puerto Rico as a base to protect the proposed canal across Central America.
Okay, that's really good. Who else? Anybody else?
Professor, I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I just have a question about the questionnaires.
Oh, wait. Let's wait for that. At the end,
I know, but I'm fasting. I'm fasting. It's Ramadan and I'm fasting, and it's like almost time to break my fast. So it's like, if it's okay if I can ask my question right now.
Okay. Okay. What is it that you want to say?
I'm just like really confused about like how many total questionnaires there will be. I think somebody said 10.
listen,
Like, do you know how many questionnaires there will be?
you have to bring the uh, the questionnaires. You have to bring all of them.
I know, but I don't like when you send them via email. I don't get them, so it's like I have to ask other people, like if there's a questionnaire or whatever, or if you post them on Blackboard, but you don't post all of them on Blackboard.
Yes, all of them are in Blackboard.
All of them?
Yes, yes. I posted.
So
Yes,
like every one of them.
every one of them. Yes.
Okay, because I don't get your emails, so if I just go based on Blackboard, I'll be okay.
You don't have my email?
I don't get your emails.
Why don't you get the emails?
I don't know. It's weird. So if I just follow Blackboard, I'll be okay, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Hello. Who else?
Let me try Professor number 2, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote when and why the United States invaded Puerto Rico. On July 25th, 1898, an invasion of Puerto Rico was launched in Guanica on the south coast with the purpose of expelling the Spanish and gaining Puerto Rico for the U.S. empire. Since Puerto Rico was important for the protection of the proposed canal across Central America. Thank you, Rosa.
Who else?
I could go, Emily. I also put July 25th, 1898 for the when, and I said that it was seen as like they were presenting it as liberating them from the Spanish colonial rule, but really they were just investing in like what was like the area around them, like their land and stuff. So yeah.
Who else? Emily, Liz, what do you say?
Oh, I just spoke.
Oh, you just.
Yeah.
I cannot see your name because I have something here that Adobe Flash Player.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah, I literally just finished speaking.
Okay. Okay. Who else?
I could go.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Benjamin Burgos, and I had wrote that the United States had invaded Puerto Rico in 1898, and the motives behind this was to obtain the island from Spain, but that was just like not their actual motive. It was actually just to expand their empire through imperialism, and they had wanted to protect the canal across Central America.
Okay. Who else? Well, let me say something. The Spanish-American War that started in 1898 took place because the United States had in Cuba, in the Cuba Sea, a USS Maine. USS Maine. It was of course, a transatlantic military. The United States, and there was an explosion there was an explosion in the ship, and the United States immediately blamed Spain. When we analyze history, we have to analyze, take into consideration two things when we're going to research what's happened and how it happened. We have to the first factor that you have to take into consideration is what is the cause. What is the cause of the event, and what triggered the event? Right? Those are two different things, even though they are used as two as one thing. When we say that the cause of the Spanish-American War was the sinking of that war, the sinking of the American the American USS Maine. That is not true. That is not true. That was an event that triggered the war, but that war was going to take place. It was in that invasion of the United States, the taking over of Puerto Rico and Cuba, was going to take place anyway. Any other motive, and that's the only the reason. This is how the second thing should be called a motive, cause and motive, and the motive of that war was the sinking of the USS Maine, but the cause of that is the imperialist expansion of the United States. It was the first expansionist war of the United States, and if it was the cause, then why they attack Puerto Rico? They took Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico, it was not in Puerto Rico that the ship was there. It was there, it was in Cuba, in the Cuba Bay. So today we know for certain that Spain has nothing to do with that. How? Because there have been very research done throughout the years, and the most effective are the ones that take place today because of the technology. And there is especially one of the Navy, or the American Navy, together with the University of the Navy, together with other universities, where they come to the conclusion that Spain has nothing to do scientifically. Spain has nothing to do with but there are thousands of lives died in that war. So, in many others conflicts in the world, you're going to apply. You have to apply the same the same methodology that you are going to use. Okay, there's someone who wants to say something about this. Okay, let's move on. The hold on a second. The next number 3. Who wants to do number 3? Hello.
I'll do it.
Okay,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Number 3 says, how did many Puerto Ricans receive the invasion and why? I said that they received the invasion. They actually welcomed it because they felt that any association with the United States would bring greater freedom and democracy to the island.
Who else? Hello.
Can I try, Professor? It's George.
George, go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote. Give me 1 minute. Sorry. Okay, I wrote, many Puerto Ricans welcome the U.S. invasion since the United States promised a democratic alternative to the oppressiveness and backwardness of Spanish domination. Thank you, Professor.
Okay. Who else? Hello? Anybody else?
I can go.
Go ahead, Benjamin.
Is someone else go?
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I had wrote that many Puerto Ricans had welcomed the United States invasion, like they were not opposed to it, and the reasoning behind that was they, like, the United States were kind of seen as like heroes. They were liberating them from Spanish rule, like, quote unquote, and the United States had promised that they would provide the Puerto Ricans democracy and freedom. So they were very accepting of it.
All right. Who else? Anybody else?
Yeah, I can go.
Go ahead.
So I pretty much what everybody else said, that the Puerto Ricans welcomed the invasion because associations with the U.S. would bring freedom and democracy as opposed to Spanish rule.
Okay. Who else? Hello? Anybody else?
Professor, I can go if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. Actually, I accidentally closed it. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
For number 3, I'm pretty sure I put down. I'm sorry. I accidentally closed the page. I'll have to reopen it before I can enter you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Who else?
Oh, I have it. Sorry. The Puerto Ricans, lower and upper classes alike, initially welcomed the Americans as democratic liberators from Spanish oppression.
Okay. Let me say something here. It's true that the vast majority of Puerto Ricans were thinking that it was better, that they were going to have a better a better life and more democracy, more liberty, freedom, not necessarily democracy, but freedom in a relationship with the United States. But that was didn't have a long life, that idea. It didn't have a long life because when the United States started, for example, the Puerto Rican producer owners of landlords were in favor of the United States because they thought that they were going to have a market for their products and a huge market. And but a few months, a few years after the invasion of the United States, they started to see that the United States were taking their land, and eventually all the land belongs to the United States. In the Puerto Ricans who used to be owners of land have to migrate for other places. So the same thing happened with the intellectuals. The intellectuals wanted to have a better relationship in the United States, thinking that they were going to have more freedom. And when they started the first military government, it was always a military government, the first government when the United States took any territory. They were going to the intellectuals believe that these people were going to bring more freedom because they have done the revolution against the Great Britain and so on. But they started to see that Puerto Rico, there was not any paper that was not American to me, how can I say that could sell their papers like any other, like we do it today. This is that kind of thing of freedom. It was all mass media, and in the mass media there was the written ones were not accepted by the military, the American military government. And so in every aspect of life, right, the United States, of course, changed the infrastructure, the infrastructure of Puerto Rico, but that was because they were going to implement a new economy, and they needed that. At that point, it was faster to go from Puerto Rico to the Dominican Republic that to go from a city in Puerto Rico to another city in Puerto Rico. So they have to do that now that they have taken the resources out of Puerto Ricans, most Puerto Ricans. Okay, is there any person who have any questions? Okay. Number 4. What time is it? Okay. What we are going to do, listen, it's time to go. What we are going to do next time we meet, we're going to put that in your, maintain that in your head. We're going to do number 4 and number 5, those 2 first, and then the readings. We're going to discuss the reading that is in the syllabus for the Monday. Are there any questions that you want to pose, to say? All right. So we see each other on Monday, and I'm going to send you the readings to let you know about the readings and the questionnaires. There's something that anybody want to say? Okay.
Can I just speak to you after class, Professor?
Wait, say that again?
I said, could I just speak to you about my topic after class?
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Yes.
Have a good night, Professor.
Have a good night, and
Good night, Professor.
take care of yourself. Benjamin.
Yes.
Do you want to ask me a question?
Okay. So I know that it has to be concrete, so I tried to make it as specific as possible. For my topic, I had wanted to talk about the caste system that was first introduced in the Spanish colonies with the peninsulares on top and then the following people on the bottom.
Perfect.
And I had wanted to talk about how that specific caste system had influenced kind of like the social hierarchy that was seen post Civil War and with capitalism.
Good. Very good.
That's good?
Yes, that's very good.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure it was approved.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.